For decades, it's been this brutal, dangerous dance in the shadows. But what happens when the music finally stops? Well, today, we're going to break down the anatomy of a hypothetical war between Iran and Israel, a war that pretty much everyone saw coming, but nobody was truly ready for. We're talking about how this shadow war could suddenly explode into a full-blown global crisis.
All right, let's just jump right in. We're fast-forwarding to February 2026, this 40-year ghost war. The assassinations, the cyber attacks, the proxy battles. It's all about to come to a screeching halt. And what comes next is a whole lot more terrifying.
Just picture it. You've got news alerts blowing up your phone. Huge explosions are rocking western Iran. Air raid sirens are screaming across Tel Aviv. And at the exact same time, the entire global economy is just teetering on the edge of a cliff as oil markets completely freefall. This is it. This is the moment the war breaks out into the open for everyone to see.
And this quote from former Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin, wow, it just perfectly captures that moment. 0 hour. It's not just a new chapter, it's a completely different book. The shift from this contained, covert fight to an all-out, conventional war is sudden, it's shocking, and all the old rules, yeah, they just went out the window.
Okay, so how on earth did we get to this point? To really get why 2026 is so explosive, we've got to rewind the clock. We need to go all the way back to one single year that changed absolutely everything.
Believe it or not, before 1979, Iran and Israel were actually partners. They were strategic allies, sharing intelligence. They even had common enemies. But then the Iranian Revolution happened, and it flipped the board overnight. The new regime in Iran built its entire identity on opposing the West and Israel, who they started calling the Little Satan. This deep-seated hostility, it became the whole mission, the very reason for being, for Iran's powerful Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC.
Now, Iran knew it couldn't match the U.S. or Israel plane for plane or ship for ship. They just didn't have the conventional firepower. So they mastered a different kind of strategy, asymmetric warfare. Think of it like this. If you can't win a heavyweight boxing match, you don't get in the ring. You change the rules of the fight. It's all about using unconventional tactics to hit a stronger opponent where they're weakest.
And their main strategy here is something called the Ring of Fire. For decades, Iran painstakingly built up this whole network of proxy forces. You've got Hezbollah in Lebanon, the Houthis in Yemen, and militias in Iraq, all to surround Israel. The absolute crown jewel of this strategy is Hezbollah. They're sitting right on Israel's northern border with an arsenal of, get this, an estimated 150,000 rockets. That's not just a threat, it's an existential crisis waiting to happen just miles away.
So the chessboard is set. All the pieces are in place, and the whole world is just holding its breath. The situation is so tense that all it's going to take is one piece of intel to push the whole region right over the edge.
And then, in late 2025, that piece of intel arrives. The code name was the Black Folder. It was a bombshell. It revealed a top-secret, totally undeclared nuclear facility buried so deep beneath the Zagros Mountains that it was supposed to be completely untouchable. Right then and there, the game changed. And this right here, this is the number that started the countdown to war, 92%. The intel show that Iran was enriching uranium to 92% purity. Now let's be crystal clear, you do not do that for energy. That is weapons-grade material, full stop. It was a terrifying signal that Iran was maybe just weeks, not years, away from being able to build a nuclear bomb. As a former head of Israeli military intelligence put it, this was the ultimate red line. For Israel, the idea of a hostile regime that constantly calls for its destruction, getting its hands on nuclear weapons, well, that just wasn't a risk they were ever going to be willing to take.
So, the red line was crossed. The U.S. and Israel decide they have to act. But the thing is, they ran all the calculations on what would happen next, and their math was about to be proven devastatingly wrong.
The plan was called Operation Midnight Hammer, and on paper, it looked like a clean surgical strike,
A swift, overwhelming blow. The first punch wasn't even a bomb. It was a massive cyber attack to completely blind Iran's air defenses. That would clear the way for stealth jets to hit not only the nuclear sites, but also, and this is key, to take out the entire IRGC leadership in Tehran.
But here it is, the central, fatal miscalculation. As this analyst, Mir Javedanfar, points out, the IRGC isn't a traditional army where if you cut off the head, the body dies. No, it's an ideological movement. It's more like a swarm of bees. You might take out the queen, but that doesn't make the swarm surrender. It triggers an automatic, pre-planned, furious response.
And that response was called Operation Al-Quds. And it wasn't a counterpunch. It was a flood. They unleashed everything all at once. Ballistic missiles from Iran, swarms of drones hitting Saudi oil facilities, and thousands upon thousands of rockets from Hezbollah. The sheer volume was the point. It was designed to completely overwhelm Israel's incredible Iron Dome defense system. Because think about it. Even if the system is 90% effective, 10% of thousands is still hundreds of direct hits.
And then, just when you thought it couldn't get any worse, they went for the world's economic jugular. Using simple speedboats, the IRGC mined and effectively shut down the Strait of Hormuz. And just like that, a fifth of the entire world's daily oil supply just vanished. The shockwaves tore through every stock market on the planet almost instantly.
The first strike was over in a matter of hours, but the war had started, that had no end in sight. The world economy is now in a nosedive. The region is on fire. So what on earth could possibly happen next?
Well, analysts basically saw three paths forward, and let me tell you, none of them are good. The most likely was something they called the forever ghost, basically a long, simmering, painful insurgency with constant tension and crazy oil prices. But there were even more dangerous options on the table, like a full-blown regional conflagration that pulls in U.S. ground troops, or a totally chaotic, fragile implosion where the Iranian state collapses into a bloody civil war. Yeah, no easy outs here.
And that brings us back to this quote from General Austin, which really gets to the core lesson of this whole nightmare. He's saying, look, we could count the bombs we needed, that's just arithmetic, it's easy. But war is like complex algebra. You can't calculate the reaction of a cornered regime fighting for its life, and you sure can't calculate the pure animal fear that grips the entire world when it thinks the energy is about to run out.
And so that's the final, chilling question we're left with. The immediate mission was a success, right? The secret facility was destroyed. But you have to wonder, in taking out one clear and present danger, did they inadvertently create a permanent, unpredictable, and much, much deeper fault line running straight through the entire world?